So this is the main breaker. I'll be a little more detailed. I tried to keep the other brief, not ramble too long. But it's got a few different types. It's all 20 amps, 14 gauge wire, no ground going through the house walls and such. Um, 60 amp here is the garage. 30 amp here is whatever I was just bitching about, a water heater that's got that disconnect that doesn't work for whatever reason. And then 100 amp here is sending some like one or two alt cables about 500 feet back to the pond. Um, Look like direct burial cables, but they're not really. It's exposed in at least one area down in the field. Um, Definitely not the 18 inches or in conduit, but at least it's got a breaker, I suppose. I first thought it was tied into the main panel, given that before I took the cover off, it looked like it was in that, tied in straight to that. But this is outside service entrance. This is just the 30 amp 120 I put in for the RV. Kept frying outlets. Ground, I don't think it's tied into water. The ground goes through the wall from the main breaker, I guess ties into the service entrance and goes down in here. I don't know if it's copper or not. The Spectrum box, and there's a grounding rod here. I think it's just like rebar or something, and then a piece of pipe here. I don't even know if they're connected or not, but that's what I got here. Then this right here is that going down that 100 amp 220. There's a little cabin down by the pond. It is buried mostly, but there's a few spots that's exposed. It's 3 wire, like at least one alt, I think. I don't know, but it goes way down there, at least 500 feet. So that's the overview of the house. Then the garage is still on fuses. I guess garage is fed off the 60 amp breaker in there somehow, and goes up there up to transformers. I don't know how it's tied in, but it is. And then so that to service entrance down there, main breaker somehow. And then this overhead wire here goes to the outside of the garage. Follow it. This is what that 60 amp breaker is powering. And it goes up to here. Looks like they used to have a meter there, but or maybe that shit's buried. I didn't see another buried circuit other than the one going to the pond, but it could be, I guess. But that's what I'm working with here, an old meter. And then that's just some cable for a light bulb there. Then going in here, this is what the 60 amp breaker feeds here. I guess fuse pull out box. I don't know, not familiar. And then fuse disconnect, I guess. And then wiring's a goddamn mess. Like, it's just shit running everywhere. All sides wrong. Probably a decent amount of scrap wire though. It's just like everywhere. Like, it's absurd. I don't even know what all this is for, but you got like extension cords powering lights and shit. And I don't know. I'm starting fresh in here. I did want to put in a main breaker, probably 100 amp, where that fuse is. That's what I'm working with in here. That's pretty much the setup. I guess my main concerns are the triplex 100 amp service going down there. It's not even buried all the way. And then the lack of ground in the house, as well as the 20 amp breakers on 14 gauge wire with no ground. I originally had that 30 amp RV. It's supposed to be 30 amp. I had it plugged up to these that I thought were 20s, and I fried 2 duplexes before putting in that 30, and it never tripped a breaker. It just fries outlets and they're done. And then like all this shit's a mess. Like the switch didn't even, something's fucked up there where one doesn't work, and then one's supposed to control inside and outside lights but doesn't send power to the outside, so I was fucking with that. Oh shit, I guess drywall out, you can see. Okay, well that is 12. The one I saw was 14, but I don't think it's got a ground. And here you got 3 black wires. It's a ground on that. I don't think it's all grounded though. And back in here, so I really want to just put a like 100 amp sub panel back there to do lighting or whatever else I want to add on without having to fuck with the main panel in here. And then another 100 in the garage, just for, I got a 30 amp 240 volt infrared heater coming, and then probably eventually get a 230 volt 5 horsepower air compressor and such. Maybe a welder, so at least 100 in there. I feel I should probably just replace all this shit too. I don't know. This is the 30 amp 120 I put in. It's a THQ-L because that's what most of them were, but the shit doesn't even stay in tight. It's like loose. So I don't know. All this makes me uneasy. And those are, I unhooked that 100 amp going down to the pond there. It was just 3 whatever all conductors, aluminum. So yeah, this one, want your take if I should replace that panel. And I guess I was wondering, as far as the sub panel, just your input on all this, really. It's kind of a mess. And then the thing that I'm hung up on now is this. I'll just do a separate video for this. It's getting kind of long.